Good morning, Hockey Nation. Many of you were on last night's broadcast, so you got to see this game. Good morning to Danny. Thank you, Danny, for joining. We really appreciate it. Tap, good morning. How are you doing? Many of the Montreal Canadiens fans of the Hockey Nation Live crew obviously tuned into the broadcast last night. We're going to take the angle of obviously the Detroit Red Wings because that's what we cover here. So if you didn't see this game, this will be a recap of last night's game. We'll look ahead to Thursday's game for the Red Wings. And I do want to look around the NHL. It was a busy night, and there was some interesting continuation of stories there. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to specifically chat about. Last night was a bit of a goalies duel. So 43 shots, 7 power plays for the Detroit Red Wings. The loss. Well, it was an unfortunate. I mean, I think I was going to comment on this. If you look at the record of the Red Wings, 7-3-3, they had won 3 games in a row. I was kind of like, that was not how I expected them to enter what's really a very, very busy week for them. And I'm pretty happy overall with it because they have points in all the games they've played, the last 4 games. And I think they have a possible 7 out of 8 points. And after, some really bad blowout losses to New Jersey and to Buffalo, who's kind of fallen off the wagon, this was a pretty good game. And whether you're a Montreal fan or a Detroit fan, it's pretty good. One trend that I keep seeing with the Red Wings, aside from not capitalizing on it, are that teams are getting a lot of penalties against them. So they're quick, they're staying on the right side of the puck, and they're just getting a lot of power play chances. So this seems to be part of their DNA now and managing the puck really well. And you see the record, 7-3-3 after 13 games. I don't think I would have predicted this. I mean, I thought they were going to be a bubble team. Right now, when you look at the standings, they're second in the Atlantic, which is a crazy tough division. Good morning, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you enjoyed the game last night. Zadina's injury. Well, we know he's out 6 to 8 weeks. He's been completely irrelevant, and at this point, the guy's a total bust. So it just blows my mind. He's got all the talent in the world, and you would have thought he would have figured his game out a little bit, and he just has not. It's not translated at all. I thought he had a very good camp and he looked good in preseason, but this guy is destined to be not what he should be. There's nothing wrong with he's a talented playmaker. He came in with a big reputation as a goal scorer, but we see how he tries to score goals, and he's just too slow to get the shot off on that one-timer. He's too predictable. So I just, he's got I thought he would have figured it out by now. Glad that both Tap and Kelly have joined, so this is great. I know it's small in the morning, and he offered some stability to the lines. He did, because he's not going to hurt you necessarily, although, the coach doesn't love the way he manages the puck. So Lalonde is, very specific about puck management, and that was the issue early on. We saw him sat. Pia Suter has turned up the notch a little bit. He looked very good last night. Lucas Raymond continues to play very well. I won't say hot because I think, he's found his game a little bit. He had a real slow start, but he's made up for it the last, 4 games. So I think as Lucas Raymond goes, this team probably goes. Larkins played well overall the last night. He had 2 chances to put this game away. You have a penalty shot, and he missed in the penalty shot. He missed in the shootout. Not a lot of creativity on his play. He actually shot totally wide on the last opportunity, so that was kind of not helpful. But yeah, he gives some stability. But you saw last night, Austin Czarnik has had an absolutely rip-roaring start in the AHL. I think he's a leading scorer in the AHL, isn't he? He's up there. He's definitely a leading scorer in Grand Rapids. And he's a smaller guy, and he had a very good camp. He's got some NHL experience, and he's a talented player. He's from Detroit. And you saw last night he got a goal, was really helpful for their wings. So that might help a little bit. He's done more than Zadina's done already. So this game was really interesting. Lots of power plays for the Red Wings, 1 for the Canadiens. And I think if you go back and you see the Red Wings are drawing a lot of penalties. So they're, I don't know. You have to go back and figure out why, but I think they're just moving the puck forward. They're tough to play against. And, I don't want to say that this is part of their game plan, but it seems to be part of their game plan would be actually scoring on the power play. So that would have been helpful. Good news for Montreal last night, and that Mike Hoffman got on the board early from Gallagher. that was a real, that was pretty much an impossible shot for Ville Husso to stop. And then I mentioned Austin Czarnik getting his first of the year from Kubalik, who continues to pile up points for the Red Wings, gets his 10th assist. Andrew Kopp again gets an assist, so maybe he's finding his offensive game a little bit. That would be really helpful for Detroit. So, that's the thing about Detroit. They've got so much depth. They've overcome all these injuries. That would have not have happened last year. Like missing Verana and missing Bertuzzi would have just destroyed them, and yet here they are, 4 games above 500. So it was 2-2 or 1-1 after that, and it was made 2-1 again by Mike Hoffman getting on the board again. So that was a crazy first period, but then the second was a different tale. It was a complete shutdown here. They went through that entire period on their heels, Red Wings not being able to capitalize on power plays. So that was kind of a little concerning. You look at the shots, 12 shots. This was kind of interesting. 12 saves by Jake Allen, who played very, very well, 940 save percentage or something. We'll take a look at that number, I guess. 12 saves shorthanded. So that was a huge difference. So even still, like he was, both these goalies were really busy, 33 shots to 43. So it's interesting. Over 7 on the power play. This was totally up to the Red Wings. They could have scored on the penalty shot that Larkin had. They could have scored on the shootout. And they had 7 opportunities shorthanded to score, so that didn't really work out. Overall, then, it's 2-1 going into the third after, a pretty, uneventful second. I mean, there's lots of penalties, but Lucas Raymond then from Pia Suter, who I mentioned, like he gets his 3rd assist from Suter. I think he's already had 2 or 3 goals in the season. He had a couple back-to-back games where he scored. And Lucas Raymond, it was an interesting bounce. It was shot. Larkin was in front, kind of collided with the defenseman. Puck came out, moved it across to Raymond, who just rifled it. And you can see he's got a great shot from the circle. So that made it 2-2. And then we go through overtime. No result in overtime. Goes to the shootout. Cole Caulfield scores on his attempt. Lucas Raymond, the before mentioned Lucas Raymond, doesn't capitalize. And Montreal's up 1-0 in the shootout at that point. Then Nick Suzuki makes it 2-0. David Perron breathes a little bit of life into them, gets a goal, so it's 2-1. Drouin doesn't score on his opportunity. And then, as I mentioned, Larkin, who had already missed on the penalty shot, he misses. It wasn't even. He shot wide. It was like a nothing play. It's like he at least hit the net. He would have been better to wind up and fire it at him. Maybe he had a chance at least there. So that was unfortunate for the Red Wings. Good for the Montreal Canadiens. However, they do come out of this game with a point. I think that's, the pattern here is Detroit manages the puck much better. They don't defeat themselves. And I think if you look at the biggest frustration of the last 10 years, and we would blame it on goaltending, but maybe a lot of it was puck management. They would defeat themselves. They would be up a lot in games, and then they would turn over leads. And I felt like that, it was very frustrating to watch, but you don't see that here. They're giving themselves a chance. They go into overtime, they go into shootout, and it really comes down to these other details. Should we be worried about our top 5 draft pick this year? I'm worried. I'm not going to lie. Are you saying about Slavkovsky, or are you saying whether you're going to be in the top 5 to try to have a shot at Bedard? Montreal looks pretty decent. I think by the end of the year, you'll probably be in a lottery position. That's my guess. I can't see them wanting to jeopardize that. Montreal's reasonably deep. Are you going to get Bedard? I mean, who knows who's going to get Bedard with the rules in the lottery? It's kind of crazy. Larkin looked uncertain on the penalty shot. Way too slow. You're right. I think the thing about Larkin is he was always one speed, which was fast, and he didn't really handle the puck at high speed. And he carried the puck way too much before Lucas Raymond came along. So 5-on-5 and on power play, he handles the puck a lot less and he shoots more. But you can see the knock against Larkin has always been kind of the creativity element. And I think, you kind of see that in those skill situations of the shootout where he's just coming down and he doesn't have a distinctive move. He's not watching the goalie and baiting him. And he is slow on that play, but some of that might be what he can't do with the puck at high speeds. Don't forget, Montreal beat the Zebras last night. Yeah, it was crazy, but this is a trend. Like, if you go back and look, the Red Wings are, I don't know what the stat is, but we could look at it and try to figure it out. But they're definitely drawing more penalties than they're taking. And they're getting opportunity at power play. To go 0-7, big credit to Jake Allen. I thought he played very well. And, they got to figure out something on that power play. It just doesn't click at the moment. We need to eliminate the shootouts. I mean, listen, I don't have any problem with the shootout during the regular season. And I like the fact that it's not, we have crazy overtime games. Look at what happens because, teams don't take any chances in overtime in the playoffs. And sometimes it goes 2-3 overtime. It's crazy. Like, you're playing 2 games in a night. You can't have that during the regular season. Like, this week, Detroit's going to play 5 games in like 7 or 8 nights. Like, we're going to have an extra game because you keep going overtime. And I definitely like the shootout better than tie during the regular season. Both teams, I thought, Montreal deserved the win. They faced a lot of adversity in that game. And Jake Allen played really well. So kudos to Jake Allen. I thought he played real well. It's good for you guys that Mike Hoffman woke up a little bit. Maybe that'll help your power play. Although neither of those goals was power play goals. So because you only had 1 power play and you didn't score on it. So, him scoring 5-on-5 is really good too. Harris looks pretty good for you guys. What do you think of Jordan Harris? He's a little better than I thought. I mean, the fact that he's on the team right now and, the other defense, like I thought the guy that Justin Barron, should be in that spot. And I think he's obviously, right now ahead of Barron. So that's kind of interesting. All right. So good game for both teams. Kudos to Montreal for getting the 2 points, but Detroit doesn't walk away totally empty-handed. They get a point. You can see all the guys that Stevie Yzerman's brought in to bolster this team are really helping. Austin Czarnik is going to prove to be a really smart signing. He's been the MVP in Grand Rapids, and now he steps up and gets a goal to fill in, for another hurt player in Zadina. So I think this is really good. He's a skilled player. I mean, and Pia Suter's look good. So I think he's been capitalizing on his opportunities like Zadina has not. I mean, Zadina at this point, out 6 to 8 weeks, not a big loss. He doesn't hurt you, but he's definitely not helping you offensively, which is like, why do you care about this guy unless he's helping you offensively? And maybe he has to redefine his whole career as like not that. Maybe he's Thomas Yurko, where he looks like he could be an offensive player, but just, he's too robotic maybe. And, if he's managing the puck, he's not getting opportunity. 35 minutes in penalties for the Canadiens. 15 of those went to Slafkovsky. He had 10 minutes on the ice and 15 minutes in the box. Funny enough, Montreal wins 53% of the faceoffs. So I think this is the second game in a row maybe that Red Wings lose in the faceoff circle but win the game. I mean, they didn't win the game. They got a point out of it. So, maybe that was a factor in Canadiens killing off the penalties. And I think it was probably a factor in them, eventually winning this. But really, it boils down to Detroit should have buried it on the shootout, and they should have buried it on the penalty shot. Like this, it would never even got to the shootout if Larkin scores on that penalty shot. All right, just looking at the Red Wings. So obviously, Lucas Raymond scores again. He played 23, almost 24 minutes and 8 minutes on the power play. So it's not like he's not getting opportunities. David Perron scored on the shootout to give them an opportunity. Kubalik looked real good, gets another assist, his 10th of the year. Is he at 15 points? Let's take a look here. What is he at now? He's got 6 goals. Oh my goodness. 6 goals, 10 assists, 16 points in 13 games. I mean, great signing, right? Elmer Soderblom, 12 minutes, 47 seconds. I would not be shocked. Right now they need him. And Matt Luff is up, and Czarnik's up, and Pia Suter's inserted the lineup. They need all of them. But really, under normal circumstances, Elmer Soderblom might be sent to the AHL right now. That's what I see. Like, he just needs to have some time down there maybe and get his confidence up. He does what he does, but he's, I don't know, is he getting better by being up here playing 12, 13 minutes a game? Like, not so sure about that. He started off real well, but you can see that already he's kind of like maybe lost a little bit of confidence. Philip Hronek, when Philip Hronek is -2, that really harkens back to the last few years. He was a -38 last year. So I think the big thing for him, like we know he can get 35, 40 points. You know, he's got a good shot, but he's got to be really good defensively. And Olli Mata is not solving that for him. He has to really, that has to be a really tough to play against second pairing that is a plus every night. You know, the Sherratt and Seider pairing is real good, although Seider's maybe not getting the offense we thought, but he's playing real well defensively. And the fourth pairing is pretty reliable there. So really it's that second pairing that's a bit of challenge. How long do you think Evander Kane will be out? So I was going to talk about this. So if you didn't see it last night, and maybe what we do is we go to take a look at, let's see here. Last night in the Edmonton game, there was a really unfortunate incident where Evander Kane gets knocked to the ground, and then Pat Maroon comes in, and his skate cuts Evander Kane, I think on the left wrist, maybe I have to go back and look. And there's instant blood. He grabbed it, he's screaming, and even Patrick Maroon signaling to the Edmonton bench. So I don't know how long this is going to be. Was that last night or was it? Because let's take a look here. Hold on. I don't know if it was last. I'm losing my calendar and my brain is off. So I don't know. They say he's on the mend. I'm not sure if you know how long this will be yet. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. So if you saw this, it was pretty scary. I don't know if I can. I guess I can't show you the video of it, but they knew right away. Patrick Maroon was talking to like, "You're all right, man." And then Patrick Maroon signaled to the Edmonton bench to come off. So I'm not sure like if they're at a point where they can figure it out. Like I don't know how deep it was. Did it cut any tendons? It says he's in stable condition. So I don't know if this requires surgery. That'll be interesting to find out. And Patty Maroon, I hope he's okay. When you look down and see so much blood, which there was immediately blood on the eyes, that's never good. Especially like you don't want to slit your wrist with a skate plate. That's crazy, right? Like, so I don't know. Let's see if they give us any specific updates. They rushed to treat and repair my injury. With all you know, it's been much worse. Yeah, so it's kind of like getting your wrist sliced, which is not good. Lower body injury, just switching gears for a sec. Zadina 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know what that means. Is it a hip? Is it a knee? Something's broken lower body. That's not good. So that's going to take some time. But again, I just don't think he was that impactful. But they need bodies. I mean, if they have any more injuries like this, it's going to be kind of crazy. Yeah, the time between last night and today for me is like, whoa. I'm like, gosh, I watched it. I thought I watched it last night. All right, so just some other comments last night on other games. I don't know what you would like to talk about, but Arizona, Buffalo's really struggling. I think Rasmus Dahlin is still out, right? No, he's back. He was back last night. Okay, so that's good. He had an assist last night. I didn't watch this game at all, but I thought it was interesting that 4-1 win for Arizona. So is the goaltending kind of falling off a little bit here? Eric Comrie goes in, and it's night and day between Comrie and Anderson. So that's one problem. And they have been playing without some D. So Power was in. He had 23 minutes. That's good. Dahlin, 27 minutes. Oh, yeah, he's back. Dahlin was back. That's not enough. Like Tage Thompson scores from Dahlin. So that's, still racking up points, Dahlin and Tage Thompson, too. 8th goal of the year. Looks like good game for Arizona there. The one that I wanted to point out was there were some other interesting battles. Obviously, Leafs lose. I think this was in overtime. I don't know if anybody watched this against Vegas. Vegas just continued to crush it this year. And I think this was my pick, if I'm not mistaken, which was Logan Thompson for Calder Trophy, right? And you're seeing why. Like, he's playing well. They're playing great around him. And he's just going to get a lot of work this year. And his numbers are going to be very good. Like, he beat Toronto was, arguably back on the parade for the Stanley Cup, right? Seattle's been crazy. I'm going to talk about that too. 2-1-2 goals against average, .930 save percentage, 7-2-0. So Logan Thompson, big goalie, 25 years old, which is the right age, probably, after getting some work in the NHL. It's his third year, and now he's kind of taking things over. He's had very good numbers up till now. I just think this is probably one year 3 finalists for the Calder at the end of the year. I'd be shocked if that's not the case. So I don't know if Kelly or anyone else watched the Leaf game, or Intertap if you watched it, but I thought that was interesting that Logan Thompson pulled out a win overtime. Riley Smith, the hometown boy, Riley Smith, St. Mike's player, along with his brother Brendan Smith. I think Riley played for the Toronto Marlies too. I can't remember that. If he was in, I have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure. Jack Eichel, that's good news for Vegas that he's playing so well. I mean, I give a lot of credit to Bruce Cassidy. Timothy Liljegren, 2 goals last night. What's going on? He's been out, right? And he just came back from injury, so that's interesting. Nice to see Nick Waugh continue to have success. Mitch Marner only getting his 3rd goal of the year, but look at the assists, 13. So that's kind of crazy. But you've got to give credit. Riley Smith gets not only the shorthanded game-time goal, but the overtime winner in his hometown of Toronto. So kudos to Riley Smith. How is the goaltending of Kyle Grant? He was an 800 save percentage. What? That is not going to work, guys. I didn't watch this, so please feel free to comment. Ottawa losing to Vancouver. This is a battle of the basement. 2 struggling teams. What is going on? Speaking of struggling teams, Philadelphia whooping St. Louis. Like, things are not good in St. Louis. This is crazy. Like, I thought Thomas Greiss would at least help them, but he wasn't very good for the Red Wings last year. So this swap of essentially Husso for Greiss, like, definitely worked out in Detroit's favor. I was kind of surprised at the beginning. Like, and Sandstrom to have a 964 save percentage. That's not even like Carter Hart in there. Like, whew, man, that's kind of crazy. That's the other game, which was LA, I wanted to talk about quickly, because in that game, and Tap mentioned Seattle. Seattle is actually cranking along here. We're seeing they got good offensive depth. Jordan Eberle getting on the board twice is helpful for them. He kind of is a little bit streaky, but when he's scoring, sometimes that's just what you need. He can be very impactful in the game. I don't love his game. A 960 save percentage for Martin Jones. Like, what? Martin Jones has been terrible in the NHL the last, at least 3 years. Like, he's just been terrible. And now, that's a really good game for him. This game, LA Kings 1-0 over the Minnesota Wild. And who scores in the 3rd period? Gabe Vilardi continues to rip it up. 10 goals in 15 games. Like, this is a good news story. Like, moving him to the wing has been absolutely the right move. Take all the pressure off, whatever they don't like about him at center, and it's just freed him up to put the puck in the net early here. Like, this is crazy, and that's an even strength goal. Like, he just has nice hands and touch around the net. Fleury, actually, a bit of a goalie duel here between Quick and Fleury, and it's Quick's 57th shutout of his career. I mean, this is all good news if you're a LA Kings fan. Minnesota continues to struggle a little bit. They just need to get something to get them over the hump, but I'm not even sure if Minnesota's a playoff team. Vegas is going really to let Riley make cap space. I know, right? Like, they're always like, he's just that bubble guy, but he's always consistent. Like, sometimes he'll get 15, 18 goals in a season. He'll get like 22, 24. Mimico, right? Well, I remember Brendan's older, and I think they both played for St. Mike's. So Mimico probably, let's see. Just take a look here. Actually, I'm going to look at elite prospects, because that gives you where they played minor hockey. And I could have sworn that he played, he's from Etobicoke. He's a 91. Wow. Okay, that went fast. He played for the Young Nats. Jeez. All right, so he played for the Young Nats, played for the St. Mike's Buzzers in the OJ, and then went to Miami, Ohio. And 7 goals, 14 games this year. Still wearing the A. He's wearing an A, I think his entire time in Vegas. And, I mean, he's projected right now to get 40 goals. I don't think that'll happen, but, why wouldn't he get 25 at this point? Which, he's kind of flip-flops. Like, he's had 25 goals, 20 goals. He's got, I mean, he can score a little bit. He's fast. He's a good secondary scorer. So this is good. He's a good player. I mean, but yeah, he's always got that number. But I think as the salary cap increases, he's going to get cheap, you know. I did want to take a look at Winnipeg. Winnipeg is cranking, guys. Like Winnipeg, we got to pay attention to Winnipeg. And I was thinking of reaching out actually to one of our scouts in Manitoba. Yeah, best and worst. There you go. Well, Calgren didn't really help much. The goaltending is going to bite Toronto in the butt. I mean, they're probably lucky to get an assist there. You know, Dallas has had a really good year, but Winnipeg is cranking it. And Mark Scheifele, Pierre-Luc Dubois get on the board. Hellebuck, great game, 955 save percentage last night. So just let in one goal against a very good Stars team, and they are 8-3-1 suddenly. I think that they're on a 7-game point streak. So, I mean, if they can keep cranking, I mean, Jason Robertson's he was player of the week last week, I believe. And, you know, he scored early, but then it was all Winnipeg after that. I mean, they just crushed them. Wedgwood, the backup's in there, so I feel bad for Scotty Wedgwood. He's a 92, by the way, from Toronto. Played for the Mississauga Senators, and then he played in Plymouth in the OHL. I like to see Wedge have some success, so I don't love seeing him get beat up in this game. Great kid. Great. I'm not kidding. We're the man, but he probably has kids for all I know. I haven't talked to them in a while. Sorrells got pulled last night. Yeah, Nashville is struggling. I mean, Nashville is not looking great. By the way, the Rangers lost the battle with the Islanders 4-3 in regulation, so they get no points. Like, the Rangers are not really clicking here. And the Islanders are playing pretty well. So the Rangers are 6-5-3. That's got to be a little disappointing. And the Islanders under Lane Lambert, 9-5-0. This is good news if you're an Islanders fan. The Rangers now on Thursday will face the Detroit Red Wings, who have had points in 7 of their last 8 games. Wasn't such a – I'm trying to think, what was the score in the last game? Was it 5-1? The Rangers won? Yeah, I think that's what it was. So, you know, Detroit going to try to get some Hellebuck's so good. Did I say something else? Connor Hellebuck, like 955 save percentage last night. It's crazy. Colgren, 800 save percentage. Ain't you going to cut it, man? Shesterkin losing the Isles. Like, Shesterkin is off all year so far. So I think that overall, like, he's lost some goalie duels here. Like, I'm trying to remember, did they lose their last game to Detroit, or did Detroit? Yeah, they did. They lost to Detroit. That was because I think Detroit beat Washington, then they beat the Islanders, and then they beat the Rangers, right? So, Shesterkin not really getting it done right now. Like, maybe all the hype's gone to his head. And he was faced against Varlamov, who's had not a great year so far. And Varley, you know, wins that duel a little bit. 40 shots for the Rangers against Varlamov. And yet they still lose 4-3. So that's crazy. Man, New Jersey keeps winning, guys. New Jersey is a good news story. I don't know who's actually a New Jersey fan. Nazem Kadri does get on the board. Toffoli scores for Calgary, but Calgary is not killing it right now. They're a 500 team, 5-5-2, but New Jersey 7 games above 500. What is going on there? And we'll look at the standings, and you're going to see some kind of crazy stuff. I do want to look at the Vancouver game. I didn't watch that. I don't know if anybody else watched that. But you look here in the Metropolitan, of all the teams, you got New Jersey and the Islanders at the top. Carolina's still hanging in there with a 708 save percent, a couple games at hand. Philadelphia, you know, get a big win last night. But Rangers not having a lot of success here. Washington, I didn't really expect much. Pittsburgh looks like maybe some of the wheels kind of fell off, but don't count them out forever. And Columbus really not having good luck here. I would not be shocked to see them make a move here. But to me, this is the goaltending is not great. Like 55 goals against in 12 games is like, come on, like you're not going to be anywhere. Ottawa loses again last night. They got to make a change here, something. That's crazy. You expect Montreal down here. Buffalo definitely has kind of fallen off. 3 losses in a row. Florida, I just think, is going to be super inconsistent all year, so they're going to underachieve. Tampa lose to Edmonton last night, and the unfortunate incident to Evander Kane. McDavid continues to rack up points. Overtime, lost, but they still get a point. So that's helpful for Toronto, who are now 607 winning percentage. And then there's Detroit. But Boston's a crazy story. So this is a little wild. But then you look at Winnipeg right at the top, 708, 8-3-1. 3-game winning streak, 7-2-1 in their last 10. And Rick Bonus's former team, Dallas, doing much better without him as well. So this worked for everybody. And then you see Paul Maurice go over to Florida, and they just can't, it's like Winnipeg 2.0, like very talented, stacked team. It sucks not having Ekblad. That really hurts them. But, you think with the goaltending and everything else, they'd be all right. But, yeah, Ekblad is not good. And then we talked about St. Louis or Seattle, like 8-4-2. So this is really good news story. They're ahead of LA. They're ahead of Edmonton. And Calgary, really not the benefactor here. Like, they're struggling. Vancouver claws out a win here, so that's interesting. This is kind of Bruce Boudreau's MO sometimes. Like, he'll get them clicked in. They'll go on like 8-10 game point streak. So maybe they're getting back to a reasonable level, but crazy struggle season for Nashville. Total implosion in St. Louis, which I did not anticipate. They're not getting offense from any of the places they want, and the goaltending is not great. So they're struggling big time. Hopefully something turns around there a little bit. That's kind of crazy to watch. Bernier is skating again. Is Bernier with who, though? Is he with New Jersey? I thought his career was over. Shesterkin is 6-2-0 with a 258. Okay, that's pretty good. But if you look at the games themselves, like, he's been a little bit off. Yeah, Seattle was cranking it. They're very tough to play against, so kudos to them, because last year was probably a little critical of them. I didn't love their moves. But, you're seeing Matty Beniers turn out real well. And, Shane Wright, they're not playing. Doesn't matter. Wings played all right. If it were a series, we play like that, we win in 5. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think, listen, the Red Wings at 7-3-3 is amazing. And New Jersey is absolutely lights out here, guys. All right, we're 12 minutes before the top of the hour. I didn't look at that one game that I wanted to talk about. And then we'll just preview the game against Detroit versus the Rangers. So the Vancouver game, just quickly in the Edmonton-Tampa game, we know what happened with Evander Kane. Wrist slice. I don't know how long he's out. Some good news stories overall. Connor McDavid, 29 points. And I said this before, I'm going to say it again. He thinks in his head, I'm telling you, that he can get 200 points. And he's trying to figure that out every game. I can just tell. Like, this guy is just low-key, but he's so talented, and he's just next level. Like, so they win this game. He gets a goal and an assist in this game, both on the power play. Draisaitl continues to rack up points. Brandon Hagel, 5 goals in the year is pretty good. And points, Braden Point playing real well. Point a game, no pun intended. The goaltending has been crazy. So to get a win for Jack Campbell is really good, because he has not had a great year, in my opinion. Faced a lot of shots, 946 save percentage, just what the doctor ordered. Hopefully he can find some consistency, because they really need him to. Vazzy a little off last night, but man, that was another tough game. 37 shots on Campbell, and him turning that aside is, that's to get the win. That's good news, because that's their big offseason signing, and the guy that's supposed to get him over the hump. All right, where's this game with Vancouver? So Vancouver and Ottawa, this is the battle of the basement. I don't know if anybody watched this. I kind of checked in on it, but I didn't really watch the game. Bo Horvat, 11 goals, 12 goals. What is going on, Bo Horvat? Just racking it up. This was crazy wide open. Like, Spencer Martin, the backup in for Vancouver against Cam Talbot. 815 save percentage for Cam Talbot. Come on. I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there. I mean, the defense, it's not terrible. It's young. Shabbat he's the big payday guy. Hamonic should help out. Zaitsov isn't bad. Bernard Docker and Sanderson, they're young, but they're actually playing maybe better. Like, 21 minutes for Jake Sanderson's crazy. Elias Peterson, 6th goal of the year. That's good news if you're a Vancouver fan. And probably his continued success to contribute 17 points in 13 games. Like, man, they should just be killing it. Like, he's he's putting points up, and Bo Horvat's putting pucks on the net. So they got to figure out the defensive side. This has always been kind of an issue with Bruce Boudreau's teams, though, hasn't it? Like the defensive play. David ticked off Matthews that won the Hart last year. He's on a mission, and I think he's looking for legacy with, Gretzky type numbers. And why wouldn't he? He might be the guy to figure that out. Maybe he ends up with 150, 170 points, but I think in his head he thinks he can score 200. He's getting 2 points a game right now. Like, what does this guy have? Does he have 14 goals, 29 points in 13 games? Yeah, 29 points in 13 games, guys. I mean, if you don't watch every single game of the Edmonton Oilers, you're nuts. Because every night is just like you're seeing history. We haven't seen this type of player since the 80s. Like, who's the last guy to be on this level? Gretzky? Mario Lemieux? I mean, as good as I love Sergei Fedorov, but that was the dead puck era, and he had 120-point season. He was like dominant in a different way with defensive play. I don't have this shadow light thing, but you got to watch every single Edmonton Oilers game. When are you going to see this guy again? This is truly a generational player. Like, this is, if you could go back in time and watch Wayne Gretzky, every game Wayne Gretzky played as he played them, wouldn't you do that? That's what this is. I mean, this is lights out. 29 points in 14 games. Like, at this point pace, he's on pace for 80 goals and like 85 assists, 87, maybe 90 assists. Like, what the hell? And then he's got his running mate, like Leon Draisaitl is his Yari Curry. And Draisaitl is not missing a beat. Let's just hope they don't have like a Janet Jones incident where it's like, oh, he gets the Hollywood girlfriend and she gets blamed for him going to LA. I mean, you want to see him get some. I think that this is still a team that will figure out a way just because of him. If Leon Draisaitl is healthy, the rest of the team's pretty healthy, they're going to hit the playoffs, and you do not want to face this team. Like, Connor McDavid, oh my God, in the playoffs, like, look what he did last year. He single-handedly, I thought, with Draisaitl had like a damaged ankle, could barely skate. Evander Kane was real good, but this is Connor McDavid's era. Like, let's get this guy a Stanley Cup, Edmonton. Erase all the demons. All right, so just looking ahead, we want to go schedule. Oops, there we go. All right, so tonight, Carolina at Florida, Pittsburgh at Washington, Vancouver at Montreal. So it'll be interesting to see because Vancouver, like I said, seems to be turning their game around a little bit. Minnesota at Anaheim might really be helpful to Minnesota, but they really haven't, I think, hit a stride there. The Carolina-Florida game will be interesting, and this is like two teams that are kind of middling. I think both are candidates to miss the playoffs at this point. Tomorrow night, Thursday, though, is a really, really busy night, and the big game for us is Rangers at Red Wings. Will the Red Wings continue their hot streak? That will be interesting to see. If you look at the preview, Rangers are 6-5-1, I think. 6-5-3, sorry. Panarin, 6 points in the last 5 games, which is what you would expect from him. Shesterkin, you're right. Halak is 0-3-1, so maybe he's the weakest link. Maybe that's the problem. You got like an ancient goalie as your backup who's like, I don't know. How's this guy outliving Carey Price, by the way? It'd be interesting to see do they go back to Nedeljkovic. He had a real good game on the weekend, so I thought that was really good news for them. Husso's definitely been the man, though. 5-1-2. If you're St. Louis, you're kicking yourself for letting this guy go. And you got Detroit's old problem in Thomas Greiss. Larkin, 5 points last 5 games. To me, Lucas Raymond's been the story. Him getting on the board, he was kind of absent at the beginning of the year, but now suddenly he's got 5 goals in 13 games. So he's playing real well. This is good news for a team that has just so many injuries. So we will put an update on Friday. It will not be a live, but we'll put an update out. I don't know. Maybe it's a good question. I'll have to check and see. Maybe it'll be Halak versus Nedeljkovic. You know, but if you're the Rangers, like, how much are you investing time in Halak? Like, you need a win here. I don't know. Grace, he does, but this is like two problems, right? He was like 890 or 860 last night in their game. Like, they got thumped 5-1 by Philly, right? Sundqvist plays tomorrow. Okay, so that's good news, Clump Sauce, right? We need Oscar Sundqvist has been really good. Hey, if you guys get a chance, please hit the likes and subscribe. We're going to wrap this up now. We will put out an update on Friday morning to recap the game on Thursday. That will not be alive, but join Hockey Nation Live at nighttime. You will see Intertap, you'll see Coach, you'll probably see Marco. I don't know what he's got planned at night, but every night you can tune in to Hockey Nation Live. I really appreciate you checking out the morning show. And let me know if this is a bad time for people. I know people have jobs and they work and all that, you know, normal stuff that sometimes I don't have, but let me know if this is a good time for people or if you'd rather see it another time. Kind of curious about that. How do we grow the morning show? Is the morning any good for a show? Love to know about that. All right, everybody, Hockey Nation, have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.